Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt. What's up, beautiful humans?
I just want to give you a woo, so excited you're back. Yay, from your solo backpacking trip. So this episode is about trust found on the trail. So,
Mm.
my dear, what have you been up to? Tell us about this backpacking trip, this solo female backpacking trip that you just went on.
Yeah, it's funny you say I'm so excited that you're back. I don't know that I'm excited that I'm back.
Right.
Nothing personal. I love to
Totally.
see you and be with you. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
I was explaining it to a coworker the other day. There's a thing that I call burning up on reentry. So you know what that
Oh,
is?
yeah.
Okay, I was only gone for 5 days. And yes, it was my first solo backpacking trip. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that was, but only being gone or quote unquote unplugged for 5 days and to come back into the everyday life. Yeah, a little bit of burning up on reentry, like, whoo, there's a harshness to that. So I'm getting better as I do more of this at transitioning
Yeah.
from that life to this life because I want them to be integrated, right?
Mm.
I so value the work that I was able to do out there and that all of us are able to do given these opportunities if we so choose. And then really it's quite a skill to learn to bring that work back and integrate it into your everyday life. So thanks for welcoming me back. And I'm still working on the transition.
Girl, I'm not sure I'm welcoming me back, but I want to be back out there. But it's so funny you say that because two things come to mind. I definitely have talked to people who, whether, I mean, a lot of, I think what you've shared with me so far since you've been back these few days is, it's like you're in nature. Like there's very little humans, let alone technology and glitz and screens and things like that, right? So there's an adjustment just when you're spending time in nature. Like I remember one time I did a backpacking trip and just coming out from the nature, deep in the woods, back out, and I started smelling people's laundry on their clothes, laundry detergent. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's society or whatever you call it. Like like
Yeah.
back in nature, it's just like natural smells and trees and stuff. And then you start hiking back and coming across people, and I smelled their laundry detergent on their clothes, and I was like, oh, that's weird, and the other,
Well, that's hilarious because we didn't smell good at all on the Trans-Catalina Trail, which is the trail I did across Catalina Island. It's called the Trans-Catalina Trail. I ended up doing 50 miles. The trail is not supposed to be 50 miles, it's supposed to be 38, but that's another story. I got some extra credit. But there were not people. I was heading west on the trail. Most people were going east. So apparently I didn't get the memo that the easier way is to go east, but I don't pick easy things anyway.
oh,
So whatever.
yeah.
And I saw literally in 5 days one other human
Oh, you're cute.
going the direction I was
Oh,
going
oh, you're,
for 50 miles. And I mean, we had a fleeting moment. We weren't on the trail at all together. We just ended up in a particular camp. That person came in after me. We had a brief little conversation. And then I got up early the next day before sunrise and was out and never saw them again. But
wow.
coming the other way, there were humans. I didn't really experience them except sometimes at these camps.
Mm.
People would come in at different times. And generally, I was already, because I go up early, I'm up at 5, I'm out on the trail by 6. I want to be there at sunrise. I want to have these experiences. And so I was finishing earlier than most people and just already had my chill
Yeah,
out going on by the time they all showed up and set up their tents. I'm like, bye. And I
yeah,
wasn't there to, in any way, shape, or form, be with any other human.
yeah,
So to be clear, I had great intention not to be engaging with other humans except when necessary. So the rules of play for me were I'm going to do this trail. I'm going to do it by myself. I'm going to carry this big ass 42-pound pack, which was totally out of control. And I had a few come to Jesus moments about that. And I'm going to obviously have no TV, not have cell communication except to create some video and photo content, which I have shared and I'll keep sharing, and make some personal notes for myself because I'm in the process of doing some writing. And then no music, no podcasts. Okay,
wow,
that's huge for me because
yeah,
I love
Take me
audio.
in. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hmm. And I love the learning experience. I didn't do any of that with great intention. And my only communication would be when required or necessary with other people, whether it was in a camp situation or I had to check in for a camp or whatever. So all day long, I would not have communication with anybody except for myself.
Wow.
Who knew that
Wow.
that person's pretty damn interesting? We got a lot to talk about in there,
That's so
right?
cool.
Dude,
Wow.
it was so good. It was so good.
I didn't know it was so like I love that you turned off all the music and the, just things coming in, right?
Mhm.
Because that's your MO. I mean, it's definitely you're always feeding me with great, content that you find so that you were discovering, your own truth from inside on the trail, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I wasn't in learning mode. That's
yeah.
who I am at home in my normal life. I'm a learner, I'm a teacher, I'm an all these things, right? So I didn't want to be in that mode or in that identity. I wanted to be stripped of all of those identities, right? In addition to being, a mother and a wife and a employee and a coworker and a boss and a friend and a sister and what I wanted to be free from all of those things and those identities and roles and responsibilities for this week. So I gave myself that gift, which was an incredible gift. And I really, all I want to impart today on the listener is you deserve this too. So let's
Mm,
go. We
mm.
all deserve this.
Is there anything else you want to say about what it was, or I want to hear more? Why did you do this too? You know,
Mhm.
do you want
So
to?
the what was, yeah, I ended up doing 50 miles. I was on the island for 5 days. I packed everything, obviously, in my backpack, carried everything, and was completely self reliant, self sufficient. And yeah, out in the wilderness of Catalina Island. It
And
was
I saw
fantastic.
some of the pictures of the critters you were coming across. You came across foxes, as I remember, and some deer, and
Yeah.
I don't know what
A
else.
lot of foxes were visiting. I had a lot of fox interaction, and that was really cool. And
Mm,
then, yeah, of course, deer and birds and um, a little bit of ocean experience and a lot of big mountains
mm.
because Catalina Island is not flat. If anyone wants to take a look at the map, it's like, holy hell.
Tell me a little bit about, you said it was 38 turned to 50. Tell us a little bit about some of how the extra.
Yeah, on my third day on the island, I ended up getting lost on the trail. And as I spoke, I was headed one direction, and most people were headed the other. The trail markings going west were nowhere near as robust as the ones coming eastbound, and so there was quite a few junctions that were quite confusing. And they
Mm,
were speaking to that eastbound hiker and not the westbound hiker. And luckily, also, this was me not using technology by choice. I didn't have a Garmin. I didn't have any kind of tracking device for my mileage and all that. I didn't want any of that. I didn't have an app with the map downloaded. I wasn't going into the wild. Okay,
mm,
Catalina Island is, a very safe environment, especially for single females. Totally safe. Had no qualms or safety issues whatsoever. But I did have a paper map. I,
mm,
I did. And actually, another hiker gave it to me.
mm.
And I thought that was kind of fun too, because he was coming off the trail. I even referenced this map twice, and I still got lost twice. So I ended up doing quite a bit extra mileage because of that. And that was a learning moment for me. But again, it comes to the core lesson for me, and the core experience was around trust. And we'll get into that. And
Mm,
me understanding who I am in the world, who I am in nature, and feeling very comfortable and confident that even though that was frustrating and could have been a precarious situation, I was more than capable of handling that
mm.
and of figuring it out and also of moving through it. I mean, it added a lot of miles to my journey. So that day was supposed to be 13 miles and I did 20. So again, for a lot of people, that might have felt really
That's
emotionally defeating
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
or even dangerous if they ran out of water and whatever all might have happened. But I didn't have that experience. I just kept moving forward.
Can we talk a little bit about that moment, that day specifically? And if there's any other days that you want to highlight, but I'm curious when I saw your post of like, holy hell, I think at the time you had, I thought you said it was like 4 miles out of the way, but I'm hearing you say it went from 13 to 20. So something got extended bigger than even by the time I saw the post. So,
Totally. Yeah, because I got lost twice that day. So
Uh,
the post I did was my initial, I got lost and I was up on top of a mountain. I was like, okay, apparently this is how the day is going. I still had a pretty good sense of humor about it all at that moment
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I was like, I got this handled. Okay. I
You
was
know,
quite
you have done hundreds of miles before. This is like 50 or, or 38. This is nothing, but
totally, totally. But I ended up getting lost a second time that exact same day. So it was really an interesting
mm,
psychological experiment of sorts. And I have been lost. I've been lost in other experiences, and I've always been able to find my way out of it. I've never had to be rescued or anything like that. So I felt really confident that I'd figure it out.
mhm,
And of course I did.
mm.
And yeah.
How did you feel after the end of that day? Like, as you got to camp and you reflected on that day, what are some of the reflections that you had about yourself, about the trail, about how you did, whatever?
Yeah, once I actually had like camp in line of sight and I was descending off this big mountaintop down into the ocean. Really, I was laughing a lot at the hilariousness of it all, right? Because that's also how I operate. And then I had an incredible sense of accomplishment and pride. Like
Mhm.
my physical body
Yeah.
just did, I'm on the third day of this hike and just did a 20 miler with a 40-pound pack. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a 56-year-old female.
Yeah.
So the fact I'm physically doing this, I felt amazing because sure, I was tired and things were achy, but I was more than capable and able to do it physically. And that feels great, but also psychologically, it feels great to know, and it brings a lot of confidence in the self to
Mm,
be able to be capable to overcome
mm.
adversity, challenge, etc.
You know what you're pointing to right now reminds me a lot of, in the world of habit change, and this is a bigger topic that I think we'll go into. So I used to coach my clients a lot, especially as they're like trying to break an old habit or, replace something that has just been ingrained for a long time, right? That mind is used to that loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is stacking small wins, right? And so like have a small win, have, daily little wins, weekly wins. It builds that inner like bank account with yourself. Like, look at me, I did that. Look at me, I did that, right? So you just sort of this inner well of, I mean, you just did a big one. You went from like boom, 20, done, but you've had some experience of like crushing big things too, but those
Mm-hmm.
little wins. But I love where you're going with this. It's like, where does trust in oneself come from?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. It
It's
only comes from stacking wins.
yeah,
I
and
would say it's a must part of the whole equation. Um, I am going to do a video on this as part of my conclusion to the trip and my lessons and learnings. And it's about building momentum. And momentum to me only comes through stacking wins.
mm, mm,
Okay, I can't wait to get motivated to do anything. Nobody should be waiting around to get motivated. And when they finally get motivated, they're going to get busy living their life. That is the most ludicrous thing ever,
yeah.
right? But through momentum, which action is momentum, and stacking wins, the wheels start turning.
Mhm.
The emotions come along for the ride,
Yeah.
right? They're the result of the action, but not the reverse.
And it reminds me like when you think of, I was talking to someone yesterday about imposter syndrome, right? And imposter syndrome is basically an identity that you haven't grown into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have this old identity, a way of seeing yourself, and this thing that you want to get up to, this challenge, this big hike, whatever. It's just more than you've ever done before. It's something you haven't done before, or you don't know if you can possibly achieve. And we don't know until we do it. Like, it's like go outside, where I think dissatisfaction and just sort of like dullness in life come from is like only doing what's comfortable all the time, right? And so
Oh,
right,
yeah.
and you go on these little and not so little excursions, and it's like boom, you just kind of grow yourself. You're like, oh, look at me, I'm capable of doing this now, right? And then like, what else? And then what else, right? And so we stack this identity, this sense of self, this trust in like, well, I mean, for me, traveling international was like every time I travel international, I'm like, shoot, I can handle anything because of the things,
Uh-huh.
it's like
Exactly.
so and especially physical challenges, as you level up. Oh,
Well, and there's nothing that's a physical challenge that is not a mental challenge. You can do plenty of mental challenges that don't have a physical component. And I obviously there's value in that too. But my style of operating the world, you know, I'm a learn by doing person, is you pick the physical challenging things and you build your mind.
Mm.
And with that, of course, the body also says, whoa, I better be physically prepared for this character because God only knows what she's going to get up to next. So I better get fit.
Totally.
Why I did it. So I did it as a form of self-investment. And I
Yeah.
basically was calling it a backpacking sabbatical, and I will continue to do them for sure.
Mm,
For self-exploration,
mm, mm,
for self-dialogue,
mm,
for self-reflection.
Well, how many are there? Five. I want to go into all of these. So
Oh, we might not have time to cover them
yeah.
all.
Okay.
Self-exploration, right? So that's an inquiry into the internal world called you.
Yeah.
Self-dialogue, lots of conversations were had with the self. And then, you know, what was also cool? Sometimes there was nothing. It was
Yeah.
silence.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a form of moving meditation where I basically was actually detached from my body, my brain, all the things. And I was just literally cells moving across the trail and mountain
Mm,
as part of the natural environment.
mm,
Literally miles of that, which was freaking amazing.
mm,
Okay, amazing. Self-reflection. So I did do some heavier thoughts and thinking and processing around stuff going on in my life and some decisions and just some clarity of values and, you know, things that I want to get up to. And then really self recalibration. So that recalibration of like retuning my energy in the world.
mhm,
Things had gotten pretty stressful leading up to it for months, probably really a year, but kind of building in a lot of areas of life. And I needed to settle that all down and
mm,
release those things because they weren't serving me in my day to day life and my decisions and my physical health. You know, I was starting to have some physical health results of that. So that recalibration was also a big part of it. And all of that to be accumulated in the container called me is a form of self love.
mm. And I'm thinking there are some things you let go on the trail or you worked out as you walked or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you just were, it's like you go on this trail with a hairball of knitted stuff in the brain or in the body or energy, whatever you want to call it. And it's like out there, you just start to kind of pull it apart lightly, or you leave some of it on the trail, like, oh, don't need that anymore, right?
And that's why it was so important to me. And I really do, again, want to impart on the listener it's so important to detach yourself from inputs.
Mm,
So if I had listened to podcasts, if I had been reading an audiobook or listening to music or having a person with me on the trail, which of course that's all I saw out there was groups of people, right? If I had those inputs, it would have been a completely different experience. And so it's not that doing things with other people isn't great and fun. It's wonderful, of course, or having these experiences sometimes where you are taking and learning knowledge and getting creative energy. But there's a time and a place for that. And there's also a time and a place for nobody but you.
mm, mm.
And that's a gift that more people should be giving themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah, and choosing it, choose where are you, so hey, want to hang out with two or three or four or 10 of your besties and go on a amazing journey and da, 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 like go do that, right? But I agree
Do
with
that if that's your intention,
right, right,
because I will
right.
say a lot of the feedback I got, in particular being a single woman from the external world, of course, I disregarded all of it, but was, you know, concerns of safety. Many, 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 endless people
Oh,
were concerned for my safety and imparted on me that they would never do anything like that by themselves and yada, yada, yada. So I had to talk a lot of people off the cliff and they weren't even coming with me. You know, it's like, but why not to be worried about me or why to consider for themselves the possibility of this experience,
yeah,
you know? And again, trust.
yeah.
Trust yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, I wasn't going to do it perfect. Of course, I jacked up all kinds of things and did all sort of, it was a learning, it was a growth process.
Hmm.
But I did that without any judgment and actually with a sense of humor and levity. It was fun.
And I think that's two of the best things I get from you, one is, well, I know several things, but one is when you say hilarious, like that's just natural for you. Like, look how hilarious this was, this, that, you're being hilarious, I'm being hilarious, the situation's hilarious, this traffic's hilarious, whatever, right? Like, such a levity place to be with whatever shows up, right?
Mhm,
Well, whereas not everyone has that levity towards things. So it's
mhm,
great that you can
mhm.
take that out on a journey wherever you go in the world because you're going to run into bumps and roadblocks and breakdowns and whatever, detours, right?
People in general are taking things way too seriously.
Mm,
Right? They're taking the news and the economy and the politics and the this and the that and the behavior of their coworkers and the behavior of their housemates or whatever, like it's the be all end all of their existence and that their world is controlled by all of that, which is not at all.
yeah, yeah. It's just made up in the mind, right?
Mhm,
We create these prisons in our mind. Like I was just thinking about that deer picture that you had. And this deer is just out on this island
mhm.
its whole life, foraging, maybe some, yeah, just doing, whatever.
Berries, tree, berries. Did I tell you about the deer moment where I was in one particular camp and we have fox boxes to put our stuff in, our food and whatever. You can't keep it in your tent. And they'll look for everything that they can possibly eat. And so I heard at night while I was trying to go to sleep, there was literally a fox going around my tent, like it's circling around my tent, like smelling and whatever. And I kept seeing it. I didn't take a picture because it was dark. And then I went to fell asleep, and then I woke up in the middle of the night because I hear "Nyah, nyah, nyah, nyah," and I'm like, "Oh shit! Did I could it have gotten into the Fox box, or did I leave something, or is it the guy in the camp next door who I don't know?" So I unzip my tent and I open it, and literally there's a deer. I could have put my hand out and literally pet the deer, and it's just eating the tree right there, just the berries off the tree, right next to my tent. Nah, nah, nah. And he
Just,
just looked at me. I was like, "Oh, okay, hi," and I just
oh,
zipped it up and went back to sleep.
oh,
But yeah, it was cool to look in the eyes of these animals. That was
oh.
also wonderful. You know that. You're an animal person.
Well, and it's just like the world that is going on for the trees and the critters and nature and stuff, and then the world that we've created, and that even if you go to the micro level, like there's the global world that we swim around in, whatever, and we're like a fraction on this freaking planet. Like our cities look so big, but like if you look at the whole planet, there's really big spaces in between these groups of us, humans or whatever. But we take it so seriously what's going on in these groups, like, this and that. And we're also connected with everybody seeing everything and whatever. And these deer are just like, to do, the birds are doing what the birds are,
Yeah,
they're not plussed by all of our chaos and right? And these
no,
meanings that we're going through up and down all day long, right? So
yeah.
I love
And allow them to talk to you. Allow nature to talk to you. If it's quiet enough, oh, they'll talk to you.
yeah.
Should we talk about how I did it and how other people could maybe do this?
Heck yeah. Well,
Let's go. Let's go, lady.
yeah, so I know you, I mean,
There are
A,
some
like
steps.
you're a massive preparer and great at, preparing, but I have a feeling, I think from what I saw, like even you discovered some things on the trail that you're like, throw that out, right? Like some adjustments. So tell us how you did it. What can you share about what you've discovered?
Yeah, and here's what we're going to talk about in terms of how to do this is because you don't need Samantha Pruitt's idea about how to pack your backpack. Okay. There's 50,000 videos about that and all. And of course, I have opinions about all of those things and would be happy to be a resource if somebody needs help there. But realistically, that is not the biggest limitation to said human doing anything like this. And when we say anything like this, I also mean that you don't have to go backpacking across Catalina Island for 5 days. Do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Okay. But if your thing feels overwhelming, impossible, whatever the story is you're telling yourself about why you can't, shouldn't, will not, cannot, blah, 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 fill in the blank, we're here to blow that shit up.
Mm, mm,
Okay. Because your life is waiting.
mm,
So choose something, whatever your dream is. Okay. Now I have a new dream of every quarter I'm going to do a
mm.
backpacking sabbatical. Okay. But whatever theirs is going to be. So
Mm.
let's just start with that. So they don't get overly attached to the backpacking piece of it.
And I want to insert as we talk about this context because you and I know numerous people who can have what you're about to share. If they don't have people in their life that are watching and up to stuff also, right? Like you talked about the naysayers before you left, like like if you have a lot of those in your life and you don't have the resolve, if you don't, have something else around you, like you and I have each other and we have all kinds of people that we surround ourselves that's like constantly like you're gonna get up to what? Yes, you should fucking do that. Yeah, and here's what I'm getting up to, right? Just to inspire you back and so
Exactly. Exactly. We're resources for each other in so many different ways, shape, and forms. If you're in these right communities, and of course, these communities exist everywhere, you can find these people already in your existing life. You know who they are, and you also know who the naysayers are. And if you don't have them, freaking call us or join what we're up
yeah.
to. I mean, obviously, we're happy to light a fire under anything.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So if you don't have those people in your life, get them because as you do these things, depending on your own resolve or like, they might just be like, no, it's settle down, right? But all right, so you've got those people in your life. You've been doing this for a long, long time. So
Mhm,
can you
mhm.
share with us like what does it take?
Number one is to be brave and believe.
Mm,
It
yeah.
does take some courage, and it undoubtedly takes belief.
Mm,
Belief in what is possible as an opportunity, belief in your own potential, belief that you can make it happen.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
So that's pretty important to have that as a foundation for whatever the thing is you're about to get up to.
mm. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little correlate. I watched that documentary about the Jasmine who finished the Barkley marathons, right? And it was
Mhm.
like, you know, the 4 minute mile that barrier that existed many years ago, right? Like, could someone do the 4 minute mile? Nobody could, and then it happened, and then like now this Jasmine gal, completed the Barkley marathons, which is one of the hardest, most challenging ultra races
Ultra.
in the world,
Mhm.
not just distance wise, but like all the shit that you get up to. But I remember I was listening to her interview and she kept saying, she's like, yeah, I just believe that it's possible. It's just possible. And whether it's a stretch, right? Like a big stretch or a little stretch or whatever. And so for you, how big of a stretch was this in your belief bucket? Like, was it I gotta throw a lot of like, I'm not sure, maybe it could happen, maybe it won't happen, or was it like, yeah, this was easily within reach?
Well, I mean, you were there the first time I went backpacking, which is called once, okay, with somebody else's pack. Well,
Mhm.
we had no idea what the hell we're doing. I had that thing way overpacked even then. It didn't even fit me. The whole thing was a comedy act. I mean, it really was, but somehow we made it through a couple nights in the wild. And that was it. That was my depth of experience.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm not by any means an expert in this. I had and still have the courage. I'm a brave human being. I am a Leo, so part of it is just in me. And then the other part is so developed from a lifetime of just literally battles. Okay, so I am a freaking warrior. There's no doubt about it. But then that's the bravery, that's the courage element. The belief is making myself capable.
Mm,
So, investing the time, the energy, the knowledge, the curiosity in let me figure out how to do this. And then allowing myself the grace of, well, I think I have a good enough plan here, but it's not going to be perfect. But I have belief in myself that I am capable,
mm.
I am resilient. And frankly, I do have a streak of relentlessness in me that will keep moving forward, you
Totally.
know?
I think of a couple things. One is on the daily, you go to CrossFit and you
Mhm.
like, I mean, you just nail these tough ass workouts, right? And so, like,
Yeah.
you know yourself to be a tough ass person. You're like, whoo, look what I just blew up, right? So,
Mhm.
like, that daily conditioning of like, I can do hard, like, yes, yes, yes. And then also,
Conditioning is the right word.
and
That's
I
great.
think one of the things you want to, yeah, so conditioning on the daily, right? Like
Mhm.
those little small wins, whatever you want to call them, right? Depending on if
Mhm.
you're growing or, and then I think you and I, because of our races, we have that period. We know there's like a timeline, a training period, right? So I mean, yes, could I get on the PCT tomorrow without any training or whatever and figure it, okay, probably, but usually you like plan those things. So saying yes to something doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow. Create the runway to get there through the conditioning if you need to level up the body or whatever. But just putting your hat in the ring and say, like when, you said, hey, you should do half Ironman, and I was like, whew. And I was like, I had enough time, I think I had 5 months. I was like, okay, right. And just saying it, like, I believe I've could get there, right? Like you with the Catalina, it's like, yeah, you've done 2 days, we didn't go super far, right? But it was like all the other places in your life that you've seen yourself succeed and warrior up and whatnot. And you take that out to this challenge
Mhm.
and you deliver. Yeah.
And there was no guarantee of success for in either of these instances that you're referring to, you at the Ironman, me doing this or whatever other thing. There's no guarantee of success. We're not in it for an automatic success. We're not picking easy things. We are intentionally picking things that are a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating, definitely new,
Mm,
definitely unknown,
mm,
definitely full of growth opportunity. We are saying yes to that.
mm, mm.
Okay.
And I want to share, I'm doing this in business right now too, with the way that I'm growing the business and hiring people and, taking on, I'm like, man, new muscle. Like I've been a business person and have had some, but like this just feels, that growth they talk about who you have to grow yourself to be, but just believing like I can do that. And last night I had a moment from working with my team, in this landmark work that I do. And I just had an experience of myself as like, I said to my team, because I've had this trust with my team and some experiences, we go play all these games and projects and stuff. And it was like, I feel like you could put me in a CEO level of a really big company. By the way, that would sounds horrible. But then I said, right? And I would be like, I wouldn't have to be down in the details, because I'm such an operations person. I'm good at scaling businesses and stuff. But I was like, no, it's about having people of accountability that know how to be responsible and putting great people. And I was like, man, I could totally. And I was like, I'm doing that in my company, right? And so these growth dimensions can be physical challenges, can be backpacking challenge, whatever they are, but it could be who you see yourself as a businesswoman, right? Or as a
Totally.
right? Or
As
community
anything,
leader.
community leader in any area of your life,
Hmm.
literally any area of your life that you are unfulfilled and
Hmm.
looking for growth, or unfulfilled and looking to become something new, something different. You're really in this place of, well, we call it fired up or fed up, but you're in that bubble of fired up or fed up, and you're like, not anymore. I
Yeah.
want something different. And you have to intentionally choose opportunities to put yourself in that will require that growth, and find resources to support it, of course.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I'm like, don't let your potential be your potential. Like, realize that potential. Like, get after, like, oh, I think I could do Catalina, but then I don't do anything about it. Right. It's like, no, let me go see if I can do that, if I can scale that. So, all right. So, plan, prepare.
Plan and prepare, which to me was habits. Okay. So, yes, I did do some planning for the event and got permits and scheduled all these things that so I could be on the island legally. I mean, it requires a certain process. That's the easy part. And prepared myself physically, primarily through CrossFit and a little bit of hiking, but I didn't do any prior backpacking or big heavy lifting of backpacks up and down mountains.
And
Um,
that might be recommended, for some people. For some,
well, CrossFit allowed me to lift that pack 50 miles.
yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
There is no doubt. I had no ankle, knee, hip, back issues, no shoulder issues. Okay. I weigh 130 pounds. So I was lifting a pack that weighed 42 pounds. That's not the right math for this. Okay. My pack should have weighed between 30 and 35 in terms of what is suggested,
Mm,
but it is what it is. And obviously, I got it done.
mm,
But
mm.
so there was some physical training through the CrossFit that really allowed me to, and
Take.
I'm hooked for life now for many reasons. But the other thing I want to talk about is in the preparation phase is habits. So it's one of the posts I did on my own social media about the experience. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm,
And what was allowing me to be successful, no doubt in my mind, was my well-established habits, my daily habits, these little micro habits and then the macro habits around how I do the things in my life. So literally how I organize myself. Okay, because you're operating out of a backpack. I mean, and I have to cross all these miles on a trail. So I have to take care of my nutrition and my hydration. I have to take care of my sleep. I have to operate a certain way psychologically, mentally, and emotionally as I do a challenging thing. These are all habits that are ingrained in me, and how I operate my daily life at home when I'm not out in the wild absolutely carried over and allowed me to be successful in the wild. It was There's no doubt about it. It was miraculous, actually.
And I think I want to break it down just a little bit because I've had the comparison syndrome for myself. So if I looked at, if I was, a few years or decades behind you and I went, well, I could never do that. Like, she's just so whatever. But it's like, you weren't always this well organized, right?
No,
Right.
no.
So it's starting somewhere is what I want to say. Is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yes, these habits. So maybe you don't take on a 50-mile backpacking trip like right out the gate like you are, right? Because you've stacked your wins in a lot of areas of your life. That was like what felt like the next natural step for you. So wherever you're starting, maybe it's a small win in a little area, right? You need to develop some habits just in walking more or, saying no to people, like whatever those habits are in the area of your life that you're looking for that growth, just get up to them, get some reps on those, right? And then
Mhm.
then you go to the next area and the next area and the next area. And so something like this, which is solo driven, solo, you're all on your own, prepping your meals, all this stuff, lots of things that you have to take into consideration. Like about your nutrition, gear, trail mapping, fitness levels throughout the day, navigating, things like that. So take a small win from this playbook of Samantha's life is it wasn't like she went from zero to this.
And develop some habits.
Mhm.
If you're This boils down to values. Okay, if you want to be a certain person in the world, and I mean just for yourself, I'm not talking about external society. I want to look a certain way to other
Mhm.
people. We don't give two what's about that. If you want to be a certain human in the world for yourself, and you want to operate from a value system that you are committed to, underneath that, or actually above that, on top of that, if you will, are these habits that are built into your daily operating systems, operating plan.
Mhm. Yeah.
If I care about my health, I move my body every day. I eat quality nutrition and I sleep.
Mhm.
Okay, you're doing all these things anyway. Why not do them well?
Mhm.
Why
Mhm.
not do them systematically to make you feel better, to operate at a higher level?
Mhm.
Same around financial responsibility or relationship responsibility or whatever. Fill in the blank of whatever area of your life that you feel needs to be looked at, and
Mhm.
start developing small, stackable wins with habits around this kind of way of being in the world. And next thing you know, it's totally second nature. Like all of this to me was completely second nature. It's automatically who I am in this space and just but that's not at all how I was raised. It's not how I lived the first 30 years of my life.
Mhm.
And it's taken me a while to get to this place, but anybody can get there.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, as I picture you with all of, the packing and prepping, well, you did that for years with all the races that you've done, and the food and nutrition. You've been tweaking that and fine-tuning that in so many ways for your whole life, right? And the exercise and fitness or the navigate, like all these areas have been stacked wins from your history. So I love it.
Hmm,
All
hmm.
right. What else you got? What else?
Trust. So trust and travel onward.
Mm,
If you don't, and we started the conversation with this, if you don't trust yourself,
mm,
game over.
mm,
Game over. And you and I have talked a lot about trust with ourselves when we were younger, or lack of trust, making commitments to take care of ourselves or get up to certain things or be a certain person in the world, and then not following through on our own word to ourself. Again, we're not talking about trying to meet someone else's expectations. We're talking about integrity of the self. And if you don't build integrity of the self and trust within the self, there's nothing there of strength, of fortitude, of resiliency to build on
Mhm.
because you've let yourself down repeatedly over and over and over. And so to reestablish that trust is, I would say, the number one critical piece that any human needs to get up to immediately.
Mm.
Immediately.
It's yeah, in language I hear it as you know, we believe what we say, right? So like last night, we had to be on this team call, and you know, I have a committed colleague, right? So he's once a week we have a call together or whatever, and so he's like my buddy through this quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to make sure everybody arrives on time, there's 30 of us getting on this call. It's like, okay, make sure your buddy's gonna be there, right? And so I
Yeah.
texted my buddy beforehand. I'm like, hey, can I count on you to be there? And he's like, yeah, I'm all, you know, like I'm aligned and everything's gonna be good. He goes, and thank you for being someone I don't have to check on, you know, like I know you're gonna be where you say you're gonna be, right?
Ah.
He's
Mm-hmm.
like, I can always trust that you're gonna be where you say you're gonna be.
He recognizes the integrity in you, this that really core strength of who you are in the world. And you're reflecting that inner trust and integrity out into the world.
Yeah. And do you know how the first time I saw where this, and there's many places, but one of the key areas was like a surprise to me when I discovered it was I was like, oh, that's like where it shows up too. So I'm doing like some sort of workout, like a reps of something, bar curls, whatever it was, right? And let's say the prescribed amount from the trainer was 10, right? And you know, sometimes I lose count or whatever, you know, you're just, you know, whatever, right? And so like I did it and I wasn't quite sure if I did 10. And it's like one thing to just like put it back. It's go, no, I'm gonna make sure I do 10. And it was
Mhm.
weird how that little moment was like, nobody else is like counting my reps.
Right,
Everybody's like,
right.
did I just see you slack off right now? But like my inner integrous,
Exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
I don't let, and it's not like slack off like there's a difference between like letting yourself off the hook, like slacking, and there's being kind to yourself. And it's a line, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
you know when you're like, dude, give yourself a break. Like, you know, you don't need to work so hard or something like that, right? Or you didn't finish 10 and you said you were going to do 10. That's a different category, right?
Oh, totally.
So I was over here in this category and I was like, I don't know if I did 10. I could have just, and I was like, no, I do what I say I'm going to do. I'm going to complete that. And so it's those little micro moments. And yeah, sometimes you have to clean things up, like, oh, you're late for something, or you didn't send someone an email you said you were going to send them, whatever, you know, like it's not a perfect,
Just own it. It's
exactly.
integrity. Just own it.
But you watching you or me watching me
Hmm.
is where the game is won or lost.
Hmm.
So
Exactly.
it's great if, you know, my buddy thinks that of me, but it's more important, right? Like you said, like
Yeah.
what you think of you.
1000%. And if you get away around people, by the way, who are always compromising a little bit of their integrity, it's very easy to start compromising your own because they have set the standards way down here.
Yeah.
And so you rise or fall to meet that. So
Mm,
being in community where this is what is expected. This is one of the reasons I love about CrossFit too. This
mm,
is how we do this here. Okay, there are some rules of play. If
mm,
we say it's going to be a certain thing, it's a certain freaking thing.
mhm.
Okay, and we're all holding space for each of us individually to rise to that. And
Yeah.
it's incredibly powerful to do stuff like that. And in groups and circles that we have belonged to, that you are currently forming with the Alive Alliance, like those are those groups. You want to be in those circles. The vibration is freaking high, and you absolutely will be pulled up into it and be held to that accountable space with love and kindness, with unconditional love, no
Mhm.
judgment. But it's intense to be in there. Like it feels so good. It's like plugging yourself into a battery. And if you don't have that self trust, it's very difficult to
Mm,
make decisions.
mm,
And so you become paralyzed. You procrastinate like hell. You become paralyzed. You go into this vortex of rumination around trying to figure out, I'm so confused. I don't understand. I'm doubting everything. It's because that trust has been eroded
mm,
for whatever reason in this area of your life. You've got to get it back. Do not ignore it. Do not allow that pattern or that behavioral pattern to continue, because that's a big red flag, and it will
Yeah.
just trickle into other areas of your life.
And what I'm hearing when you say that is like potential just sitting dormant,
Mhm.
like potential just waiting to be fulfilled because you're not trusting yourself to like, oh, I can stretch and grow into that, right? It's like it's potential. It can be nurtured. Trust yourself and you'll grow into it, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
and sometimes you need people like coaches. We do this, we reflect back to our
totally.
clients, to each other, around what we see
Mm,
as what's true and possible for the person. Because sometimes theirs has just gotten dull, that, monitor, if you will, that beacon, or covered up. And so they can't see it for themselves. But we can go, whoa, hey, I see something
yeah.
amazing over there. So try it.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
know how it works out for you.
So good. So good. Oh, I love the trust
Yeah.
conversation. All right. Well, and would you say that it was because you were quiet a lot? Like, is that where the trust came in? Was just hours
No,
alone?
dude, this was so crazy. I will write about this. There will definitely be a blog available about my whole trip, in addition to a couple more videos I haven't put out yet. Um, it happened immediately. Literally, I got on the ferry, and even before I got on the ferry out of Long Beach, California, San Pedro Harbor, I felt this wave come over me, and I was like, whoa, dude.
I'm with me.
Get ready for something big. Like, it was this really amazing opening, emotional opening, and freedom, and just this great feeling. And then I got on the boat, and I was like, as I crossed the Pacific Ocean, literally, that's the first thing that came to mind was, I have complete trust in myself,
Mm,
in my capabilities,
mm,
in my physical strength and endurance, in
mm,
my wisdom, in my knowing. I have complete trust. I have absolutely, literally zero doubt about what's going to happen next,
mm.
even though I had no idea what was going to happen next. And
Yeah.
so that really deep internal trust was just like welled up in me. It was really powerful. Yeah.
Showed up with that. Well, and I want to say, I think there's a symbiotic relationship, I think, in the mind in terms of the environment as well, or the universe, or what you think, the outer world is like. So, I don't know if I'll quote the phrase well, but Albert Einstein had a phrase, do you believe that it's a scary universe or a benevolent universe that we live in, right? And so the lens through which you see the universe, the outer world, the environment that you're going into, yourself included, right? Like, so do I think I've got what it takes? And do I think this environment is suitable, safe, if you will? And so I think it's that symbiotic relationship between the two that allows you to move into things. Because if you're going to an environment that's like, okay, I could die here. I mean, there are some very, people put themselves in some not good situations, right?
Hmm.
Or they have the mindset that bad things are out there, they're going to get me. They're, like, if we go through, I would say that when I've traveled, I've developed this like belief in like good karma, like good travel karma. I'm like, everywhere I
Hmm.
go, it's always amazing, right? Like I have great experiences out in the world, out, like I don't have a fear of going here or going there or what if, like you said, those people like going back on your, like my belief system is it's a good world, it's a good universe. Things will naturally, so I just wanted to put that there because it's the trust in the environment that you're putting yourself in or the outer world as well.
Well, kind of to bring this full circle, how I think about it is that your truth is the compass for whatever you're about to get up to.
Yeah.
So your belief system, your truth, is literally going to be the compass to guide you south, north, east, west, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, going right, making a decision to go left, going backwards, going forward. Like, that compass of your own personal truth is
Yeah.
everything.
Mm.
And so, what you just described is your truth is, when I travel, no matter what country I'm in, no matter where, and you do a lot of this by yourself also, I am safe, the world is good, and good things happen to me.
And they do, man,
And they do.
all the time.
And they do.
Ah,
Exactly. And
all
I
the
say
time.
that when I go out in nature. When I go out in nature, I'm safe, I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm wise. Let's go.
Oh,
Right?
I just have this little okay, sorry. I just did this in a meditation the other day where I was like moments of gratitude. And I was like, I want to think about things that I don't normally place gratitude on, right? Like, my family or loved ones or something like that. And I just had this moment. I was in the middle of, felt like nowhere in, I think I was in was in Arizona, I think, and desert all around. But I had found my way to this one little town. And then I was like, oh, and I'm going to shoot off, for a couple hundred miles to get to the next town or something like that. And I woke up and I think I parked in the Walmart parking lot or a parking lot somewhere or something like that. I forget, but I was kind of in town-ish and I had a flat tire.
Oh,
And I was like, this is
oops.
kind of small town, I was like, do do do. And I think I called the tow truck company and they were like, I think it was near Salt Lake or it was like they were hours away. Like the nearest tow truck that they could order was like, and then go back. I was like, this is gonna be a whole day thing or whatever. So I called the local uh, tire store and I was like, hey, I know you probably don't have what it takes to tow my RV to your tire store right now, but by I just had this idea. I was like, by any chance, could you come put a tire and then I could drive it over there? And they did that. They
Yes,
totally did. They
exactly.
sent a guy had this big old jack, and they like I'm in the middle of this parking lot, and he jacks, and I was just like angels. And I didn't have to. It's just this journey that I would have been on waiting for this tow truck to tow the RV hundreds of miles somewhere. I was like, that just sounds horrible. And then this,
Well, what the moral of the story is, A, you thought outside the box because you're a wise, inventive person. You're
got,
a creative person, like, hey, let me explore all the possibilities here.
mm,
And then you believed
mm,
that good things would happen. And
mm,
then they did.
mhm.
And then they did.
And it happens all the time, all the time.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Trust. This is so good.
Yeah, let's wrap this party up.
I don't want to wrap it up. You've had so many more. Like, I just want to keep talking about your trip. Like, there's just so many nuggets to unpack from.
Well, I am writing about it, so I'll put that piece out and that'll be on our website sitting somewhere. And then also, I've got a couple other videos I'll post about it on my personal social, and then we're going to post the series of that
Mm,
on Everyday Awesome YouTube.
yes.
So we're just finally getting caught up on our YouTube and going to make that more of our conversation with the world.
Check it out. Check it out. So, what's the one thing, we talked before you left and now we're talking after. Now, reflecting, what's the one thing that you would impart about someone who's made it this far and is listening? What do you want them to know or be up to?
Mm. I really just can't stress enough about how this whole concept of a sabbatical, whether it's a 5 day like I did or something longer, is what I believe should be part of a regular society experience. And in some areas, it is. Some professions, it's normal. It used to be much more normal back in the day before we all worked a 24/7 society. In some cultures globally, it is more normal. I happen to live in the US and I happen to live in California, right? So we have this idea that time off is for lazy people and blah, blah, blah. We have all this weird stuff around it. So when people get time off, they generally by then are so exhausted.
Mm,
They can't really, it's just a time of recovery and rest, just trying to
mm,
get their head back above water again. And that's BS. We shouldn't be living like that.
mm,
We're really just robbing ourselves of these opportunities that can be big or small depending on your availability. And they don't even have to cost money. I mean, my trip was actually quite inexpensive,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
I just ate out of my backpack for a week and I just got a ferry ticket over to the island and just, it's to camp is very inexpensive. So
mhm,
you can do this in a lot of different ways and shapes, but unplugging and giving yourself a sabbatical moment
mm.
annually, if not quarterly, which is what I hope to get up to. It's just a gift that none of us can afford not to give ourselves.
And one thing you said was like you felt more energized, you felt fitter as you went, right? So someone might look
Oh,
at like, I'm so exhausted, I can't imagine doing a trip like this, but you felt energized and lighter as you got through it. So you might be surprised,
oh,
right?
totally, totally. And it is because you're unwrapping, unpeeling, peeling back all of this emotional weight
Yeah.
Sure, you're physically moving your body through space in the instance of what I did. And I literally did get more fit as every day progressed. At the end, I literally wasn't even using my poles anymore. And I was probably moving twice as fast. It was crazy in 5 days. So that
Right.
does happen. The training effect is real, people. But then emotionally, psychologically, I got lighter and lighter and lighter. So don't feel like, oh, I'm gonna, be exhausted and it's gonna, no, it's not.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
thank you
good.
for sharing this with us. And
Thanks, lady.
what do you want to remind our beautiful humans as we sign?
Oh my goodness. Well, come on now. How your life feels is so much more important than how it looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.